The Hey Eddie podcast is brought to you by Tired of waiting for your share of dinner? Introducing the Grabby Fork 3000. It's got 3 giant prongs so that you can reach across the table and grab the best pieces of meatloaf before anyone else. Mashed potatoes? Mine. Chicken nuggets? Mine. The last slice of pizza your brother was reaching for? Too slow, brother. Just like Hophni and Phinehas used at the Tabernacle too. This is Cousin Michael. Wait a minute. It says here these guys got in big trouble with God for being greedy and taking what wasn't theirs. And then they died on the same day. Yeah, the Grabby Fork 3000, actually don't buy this. Just wait your turn like a normal person. Maybe I should have read the whole story before I made these products. This is the Hey Eddie podcast. I'm your host, Cousin Michael. The Hey Eddie podcast is dedicated to helping kids like my cool cousin Eddie learn about the Bible and learn important lessons about God, about Jesus, and about life. The Bible is indeed God's gift to kids, a lamp to our feet and a light to our path. On today's episode of the Hey Eddie podcast, we're going to be studying 1 Samuel chapter 2, verses 11 through 36, in a lesson titled Two Paths. This lesson will teach us that you get to choose your path, and those who honor God, God will honor. Our key memory verse is 1 Samuel chapter 2, verse 30. Those who honor me I will honor, but those who despise me will be disdained. Hey Eddie, let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed how 2 kids can grow up in the same house, go to the same school, and have the same opportunities, but turn out completely different? One makes good choices, the other kid makes bad ones. One honors their parents, the other causes trouble. Same starting point, totally different destinations. That's exactly what we see in today's story. We've got young Samuel serving God faithfully at the tabernacle, and we've got Hophni and Phinehas, the sons of the high priest Eli, who were supposed to be leaders but turned out to be, well, really bad guys. 2 paths, 2 very different endings. Ready? Let's go. Right at the start, the Bible doesn't hold back. It says, Eli's sons were worthless men. They did not know the Lord. Ouch! These weren't random guys off the street, Eddie. Hophni and Phinehas were the sons of the high priest. They grew up in God's house. They were supposed to be spiritual leaders for all of Israel. But they didn't care about God. Not really. They only cared about themselves. Here's what they did. When people came to the tabernacle to offer sacrifices to God, the priests were allowed to take a portion of the meat for themselves. That was fair. God said they could do that. But Hophni and Phinehas, they got greedy. They sent their servant with a big 3-pronged fork, and he would jab it into the pot and grab whatever he wanted, the best pieces, not just their share. And it got worse. Before the fat was ever burned, the part that was supposed to go to God, they would demand the raw meat for themselves. And if the person said, "Wait, let me give God his part first," the servant would say, "No, give it now, or I'll take it by force." Can you believe that? They were stealing from God's offerings, and they were bullying the people who came to worship. The Bible says their sin was very great in the sight of the Lord. Right after telling us about Hophni and Phinehas, the Bible switches to a completely different scene. But Samuel was ministering before the Lord, a boy wearing a linen ephod. See that word "but"? That's important. While Eli's sons were doing terrible things, Samuel was quietly, faithfully serving God. He wasn't famous. He wasn't powerful. He was just a kid, wearing his little priest outfit, doing whatever jobs needed to be done at the tabernacle. And every year, his mom Hannah would come visit. She'd bring him a new robe she had made with her own hands. Can you picture that? A mom sewing a special coat for her son, bringing it to him on their yearly trip to worship. Eli the priest would bless Hannah and Elkanah, praying that God would give them more children. And guess what? God did. Hannah had 3 more sons and 2 daughters. God was blessing Samuel's family because of their faithfulness. And here's what the Bible says about Samuel. The boy Samuel grew in the presence of the Lord. While Hophni and Phinehas were growing in their sin, Samuel was growing in his faith. Now, old Eli heard about what his sons were doing. Everyone was talking about it. He heard about the stealing. He heard about how they were treating the worshipers. He even heard about other terrible things they were doing. So Eli called his sons in and said, "Why do you do such things? I hear about your evil deeds from all the people. This is not a good report. If you sin against another person, God might help sort it out. But if you sin against the Lord himself, who's going to help you then?" That sounds pretty serious, right? But here's the problem. Eli didn't do anything about it. He gave them a warning, but he didn't stop them. He didn't remove them from their jobs. He didn't discipline them. He just let it go. And his sons, they didn't listen to their father at all. The Bible gives us this chilling line. They would not listen to the voice of their father, for it was the will of the Lord to put them to death. Their hearts had become so hard that they couldn't even hear correction anymore, and judgment was coming. Right after that dark verse about Eli's sons, the Bible gives us another contrast. Now the boy Samuel continued to grow both in stature and in favor with the Lord and also with man. Does that verse sound familiar? It should. Hundreds of years later, the Bible would say almost the exact same thing about another boy, Jesus. Luke 2:52 says Jesus grew in wisdom and stature and in favor with God and man. Samuel was becoming the kind of person God uses, someone who honored God and was respected by the people around him. Two sons of Eli growing great in their sin. One boy named Samuel growing great in his faith. Same place, same opportunities, totally different paths. Then something dramatic happened. A prophet, a man of God, showed up at Eli's door with a message straight from the Lord, and it was not good news. The prophet reminded Eli of all the amazing things God had done for his family. God had chosen Eli's ancestors to be priests. God had given them the honor of serving at his altar, burning incense, wearing the special priestly clothes. God had provided for them through the offerings of the people. But then came the accusation. Why do you honor your sons more than me? Eli had let his sons get away with their sin. He hadn't stopped them, and by doing nothing, he was treating his sons as more important than God. That's a big deal, Eddie. When we let people we love keep doing wrong things without saying anything, we might actually be hurting them and dishonoring God. The prophet delivered God's verdict. Those who honor me I will honor, but those who despise me will be disdained. That's one of the most important verses in this whole story. Write it on your heart. If you honor God, he will honor you. But if you treat God like he doesn't matter, there will be consequences. And here's what God said would happen to Eli's family. Hophni and Phinehas would both die on the same day. That would be the sign that everything else God said would come true. Eli's family would lose their place of honor. No more high priest from his family. His descendants would live in sadness and poverty. But then, right in the middle of all this judgment, God gave a promise. I will raise up for myself a faithful priest who will do according to what is in my heart and mind. God wasn't giving up on Israel. He was going to provide a new leader, someone who would actually honor him. In the short term, this pointed to Samuel and later to a priest named Zadok. But ultimately, it points all the way to Jesus, our perfect and faithful high priest forever. So what does this mean for you? First, you get to choose your path. Hophni, Phinehas, and Samuel all had the same opportunities, but they made different choices. Every day, you get to decide, will I honor God or ignore him? Second, small choices lead to big destinations. Eli's sons didn't become wicked overnight. It started with a little act of greed and selfishness that grew and grew. Be careful with the small stuff. It adds up. Third, those who honor me, I will honor. This is God's promise. When you put God first, even when it's hard, He sees it. He honors it. It matters. Fourth, doing nothing is still a choice. Eli knew his sons were doing wrong, but he didn't stop them. Sometimes honoring God means speaking up, even when it's uncomfortable. Fifth, God is always raising up faithful people. Even when things look bad, when leaders fail and people turn away from God, He's already preparing the next Samuel. Maybe that's you. So which path will you take, Eddie? The path of Hophni and Phinehas leads to disaster. The path of Samuel leads to growing in favor with God and man. Choose wisely, Eddie. Choose the path of honor. This has been the Hey Eddie podcast. I'm your host, Cousin Michael. Remember that the Hey Eddie podcast is dedicated to studying the Bible and learning important lessons about God, about Jesus, and about life. Today we discussed 1 Samuel 2, verses 11 through 36. Tune in soon for another episode of the Hey Eddie podcast, where we'll study 1 Samuel chapter 3. Love you, Eddie.